Alright, Brush Monkeys, we're back, and this week we are starting in on painting the Grey Knights Paladin squad that we built last week. See, there's the Justicar that we painted. And we're primed them all up, and I put them on the handles. And this week, I've got something kind of interesting going on here. I'm painting them, because I'm doing this for a contest, these are going to be kind of uniquely painted. I've got two colors here that I've painted up, that I've mixed up specifically for these guys. And it's Grey Knight Steel base and Grey Knight Steel highlight. And what they are is mix of Vallejo metal color airbrush paints and the Citadel Grey Knight Steel airbrush version. This is the base version, and you can see it's like really kind of bluish steel color. It's a metallic blue. The steel is kind of a lighter metallic color. The magnesium is almost black, and so the magnesium and the Grey Knight Steel is the Grey Knight Steel base. The steel and Grey Knight Steel is the Grey Knight Steel highlight. And so I'm going to be using that to base all these guys' armor on. And I'm going to do it kind of, I didn't really zenithal prime these guys, so I'm going to zenithal paint them. So the base is going to be coming up from the bottom, kind of all the way around, and try to get all the shadowed areas. And then the highlight will come on top from like about a 45-degree angle just to get all the raised areas. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and shut this off and then get started on these guys. And then we'll come back and see how they look, alright? Alright, see you soon. Alright, I'm back, and I've got these guys brushed. You can't see real well because the light's not fantastic here on the side of my shop. But you can see how it's a little bit darker steel underneath, a little bit brighter steel from down on top. And these will all get, they'll not only get a shade, but they're still wet, so that's part of the problem. But, there you go. You gotta be careful when airbrushing these because you lose some of the detail in them if you put it on too thick. But once these dry, then I'm going to give them a shade wash with Nuln Oil, and then they'll all get in dry brush with Necron Compound. It's going to be the next step, and then we'll go in and do the gold details and go from there. But they're all looking pretty spiffy right now. So I think whoever ends up with these is going to be pretty pleased with them. And hopefully they'll fit in well with your existing Grey Knights army, or be the start of a new Grey Knights army. So I put the paint, these paint mixtures, if you want to do these yourself, the ratio is about 50-50 of Vallejo metal air color to the Grey Knight Steel from Citadel air, about half and half. I put 2 agitators in the bottle because they're really thick. And yeah, so if this is the start of your army and you want to go from here, build on it, get some more Grey Knights, that's how you can mix up the paint to paint the rest of your models. So for right now, I'm going to let these dry, and then we'll come back and shade wash them and dry brush them and all that. Alright, see you soon. Alright, Brush Monkeys, I'm back, and just when you thought I was done with the airbrush, not quite. I've got these guys taped and masked off for painting their power weapons. This guy was probably the most trouble out of all of them, but I've got them all masked off so I could do their power weapons and do the OSL and glow effect on all them. See, I've got all their blades set aside. I'm going to do a fairly cool effect on these. If it comes out well, then I'll show you what they look like when they're done. But for right now, I'm basically doing a modified version of the OSL effect. I'm starting out with Vallejo Game Air Imperial Blue, and then using Badger Minotaur Spellslinger Blue, and finishing up the highlights with Badger Minotaur Sky Blue. And these will all be airbrushed on the length of the blades. And then once that's done, I'll unwrap them all, show you what they look like when they're finished. I've also got some to me a tape here, because what I'm going to do essentially is, let me find a good example here. What I'm going to do is, along the blade, I'm going to start out black and then fade to a very light blue, and then on the edge it's going to start out black on this end and fade to a light blue on the other end. Okay, so in order to do that, and then the opposite is going to be on the other side of the blade. So I'm basically doing each blade 4 times. So I'm going to do all that on one side, and then I'm going to tape off that top part of the blade and then do the edge the opposite way. See what I'm saying? So that's the goal. That's what I'm going for. And I'll go ahead and get that started. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, I got the first part of these power weapons done, and you can kind of see that fade along the blade there and how it's mirrored on the other side. While I'm waiting for this to dry, to tape that up and then do the edge of the blade, I've got this picture in this old codex. You can see the banner right there, and you can see how it's kind of faded from red down to yellow behind the demon. That's the same banner I've got here, so that's what I'm going to do with this guy. I've got Badger Minotaur, Nebula Red. This says warning yellow, but it's really more of an orange. And then irradiated yellow. And I'm going to do a fade down that banner while I'm waiting on these other blue ones to dry, which is why you hear the airbrush still going. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off and go do that, and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Alright? See you soon. Alright, brush monkeys, I'm back. And I've got the red, yellow, and orange fade. Hopefully you can see that. It's not the best lighting in my shop, but see that fade done on the banner there. And it doesn't look like much, but once I get everything else on the banner painted, it'll look pretty stiff. And to illustrate that, I got this Deathwing banner bearer. As you can see, I did the same kind of fade. Starts out red up here, fades to orange, and then yellow down to the bottom. And then once everything else on it is painted, it looks pretty good. And this is an example of what I keep talking about starting from the back and working your way forward. The fade was going to be the background of the banner, and then everything else comes after that. If I had tried to do that fade after I'd painted everything else and just painting the background, I would have gotten paint all over everything else. I would have slopped it into places it wasn't meant to be, all that kind of thing. And I wouldn't have been able to use an airbrush. I would have been stuck using a brush to get all those tiny little places behind it. This way I can use the airbrush, get a nice fade in there, and then go in with the detail brush, pick out all the little details on the figure with not only the sculpture of the banner to help, but I've got the picture of the banner in this old codex to kind of guide me as far as what colors to use for everything else. So that's going to help. So that's that. I still have some airbrushing to do on the power weapons. They're not quite dry yet. I'm going to pause here and take a break, and then when I come back I'll tape up the power weapons and do the fade on the other side of them, fade on the edges like I was talking about. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, we are done. The power weapons are all airbrushed, and you can see how they got that fade from dark blue to light blue on one side and light to dark on the other side. It's on both sides of the blades. The only one that didn't happen with, unfortunately, was this guy. It's kind of dark on both sides and that kind of thing. But, you know, as Bob Ross says, there's no mistakes, just happy accidents. So I'm going to dry brush the edges of all these blades with the Citadel Ethereum Blue, and then I'm going to give them all a glaze of Guilliman Blue. And hopefully that'll not only pick out the edges, but also kind of blend all those blues together so it looks like wet blending even when it's not. And I think it'll really come out looking pretty sharp. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back and see how it looks. Alright, see you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, the power weapons have been edge highlighted and glazed. And as soon as that glaze dries, I'll come back and get back to work. But you can see already how that's blended all those blues together and made those edge highlights really pop. And I think that really looks fantastic. I think they're going to be pretty spectacular guys when they're done. Look at that. Check out that guy's blade. Power glaive. Yeah, look at that. That is pretty. That is all kinds of pretty. That's probably the best one. That's my favorite one of the bunch right there. So I'm going to go ahead and let these guys dry, and then we'll come back and start in on the golds on these guys. And for that, we will be using Vallejo Old Gold and a wash of Seraphim Sepia. And then I believe probably on some of the more prominent ones we'll do a dry brush of Golden Griffin, just to make them stand out a little more, make them really shiny. But so far I like how these guys are coming out. So, alright, see you in a bit. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, I have made considerable progress on these guys. Painted the golds, shade washed the golds, got them all dry brushed the golds. So they're all good to go. I painted the heraldry. You can see his little shield there. He's got a shield on his shoulder. I realized when I went to go paint the heraldry that they've got a little shield embossed on their shoulder here, and they're all different shapes. So I probably could have done a little bit better job of matching the shoulder heraldry to the shield heraldry. And I also realized that the guy with the double falchions doesn't have a shield at all. I could have sworn I'd given him one, but apparently not. So that's, and they're almost all different. I don't think I got the right shield on any one of these guys. It's kind of funny. But anyway, I've got the shields painted. I've got the eyes based. I'll be going over those with probably Tamiya clear red to do the lenses. I still have considerable amount of work to do on the banner. I think what I'm going to do next is take the Wraithbone and the Skeleton Horde and do all the little bone bits. Like this guy's got some relics hanging off of him here. This has some bones in there's some skulls up in that thing there. And then I'll go through and do all the books. I think is going to be the next thing. The purity seals. I've got to do the purity seals. And these guys have a lot of purity seals. That's going to take a while to do all those. But they are coming along pretty well. Oh, since the last update, I did all the gun casings too. Painted all the gun casings black. Painted the hoses on their arms black. So they're all good to go. I need to go through and do the undersuits. I've got black gray set aside for that, so I'm going to do that. And yeah, the bones and the bases, and it's been a long video already, but there's still a lot left to go, so hang on. See you soon. Alright, brush monkeys, I made a lot of progress here. I based all the bones and parchments and everything hanging off these guys. I painted the books, the dark red leather. I painted their sword hilts, the purple there. I painted all the little purity seals. I shade washed all the purity seals with all the purity seals and bones with Skeleton Horde. I painted most of the outside of the banner, and just realized I completely blew off doing those purity seals. All the purity seals were done with, and bones were done with Wraithbone, and then gave them a little wash of Skeleton Horde. Little one right in there. Alright. So those are mostly still wet. I got the icons all up in there. Painted. These little skulls painted. So I got a lot done. I still have so much to do on these guys. It's just almost, it's kind of a daunting task, really. I still have to do the eye lenses. And then they've got these little lights on the back that for most of my Terminators, I paint those green and red, like port and starboard lights. I also need to paint all these little pouches and grenades on there. So I'm going to need to dig out a brown and army green for that. I'm going to do the lenses next. Actually, I'm not. Take that back. Now that I realize I need to do those. All right, I'm going to do the pouches, or the grenades in Death Guard green here, and I'm going to do the pouches in Steel Legion drab, and then I'll give those a wash. The base itself is going to be done all over with basic dirt from Reaper Master Series. And then it'll get a coat of Agrellan Earth, and once that dries, and I'll shade wash it and then dry brush it with Tyrant Skull. So like I said, kind of a lot of work left to do on these guys. Squads are like that. Squads are a ridiculous amount of work. I still have the whole banner to paint on this guy, which is, I might make an entire video all by itself, just of the banner. I'm sitting there looking at it in the book, and it doesn't look that bad. So maybe most of the shade washing will be easy on that guy. But I'm going to take a break and let the parchments and bones dry, and then I'll come back and start on some of the rest of it. All right. See you soon. Bye. Alright, brush monkeys, we're getting close to being done with them. I've got all these little red and yellow, excuse me, red and green lenses on the back of their things, lenses on their helms, done with the Tamiya clear green. I've got the banner almost finished. All that's left is the lettering on it. And here's the picture from the book. And then here's the actual banner. See, that's not too shabby. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. So I got to do the lettering along the top there. And I figured as long as I'm doing the lettering on that, my next daunting task, and I have my Micron pens out for this, is to do the lettering on all those purity seals, the banner, all these books on top of these guys. At least the ones that are open, and do them all like illuminated manuscripts. So this should be interesting. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back, and the next task after that will be the basing. So I'm going to give you one last look at these guys before I do the basing, and then I'll shut it down, finish up the basing, finish these guys out, and then we'll be done. Alright, see you soon. Alright, last looks before I finish this up with the basing. I am ridiculously chuffed with how these lettering came out. I mean, look at that. Lettering on the book, and all the little purity seals. Purity seals on the back of him. The other guys that have books open on the top of them, still painting them up like illuminated manuscripts. If they had a little bar across the lettering there, I did that. That one says Faith. Most of the rest of them say Titan. That one says Knight. I think these two both say Titan. Yeah. See how that looks in there. And I'm just really happy with how they came out. So, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pause here and do up the basing. And this will be the last time you see these guys before they're completed. I'm going to do like I said, the basing I'm going to do with basic dirt. And then probably a coat of Elmer's glue before I put the Agrellan Earth on, just to get really nice big cracks in it. Then shade wash with Agrax Earth Shade, and finally dry brush with tyrant skull, and it should have a nice kind of desert planet look to it with these big rocks on there. I think it's going to look really good. So I'm going to go ahead and pause here and go do that, and then we'll next time you see these guys, they'll be done. So I'll see you soon. Bye. And there they are, brush monkeys. The finished set of Grey Knights Paladins are finished. Nice little Terminator unit here. And they look pretty good if I say so myself. Out of all the stuff I've done, these guys are pretty close to being some of the best work I've done in a while. So that's going to wrap up our two-part series on the Grey Knights. Next week we are going to start in on an old Grenadier box set from back in the day. So stick around for that. And in the meantime, see the comments below for who won our loadout contest from the 100th episode. So we'll see you next week. Bye. Hey Brush Monkeys, Tom from Flying Monkey Studios here. If you like what you see, click like down below. If you want to be notified when new videos come out, click subscribe. Both of those help me with my YouTube numbers and help support me doing and what I do best. Speaking of which, if you want to support me more directly, you can visit my Patreon site and go on my Instagram page to see all the miniatures that I paint on this site and how to get your hands on one of your own if you want one. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. You can check both of those to see when new videos get posted. And visit my merch store at storefrontier.com/flyingmonkeystudios. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.